My niece got a little doll as a gift last year. It was from a family member who has a not-so-good reputation with us. That person has tried to use local witchcraft stuff towards my family in the past. Not that I believe much about it, but it's still family, so my sister accepted it, and we took the doll home. Everything was fine before that in the house. My bedroom is located next to the living room, while the others are a little bit far away, crossing the living room and the hallway. I only come home for holidays. I had been there for a week, and everything was normal. I get to hear a lot of noise coming from the upper floor. We have a dog there, and from the neighbors because my room is directly above their backyard. The night we brought the doll, everything was quiet because it was the day after New Year's. Everybody was sleeping after the celebrations, and I was on my laptop talking to some friends. Suddenly, I hear footsteps right outside my bedroom. It didn't bother me because it could have been my sister's husband. They were heavy footsteps, like boots or men's shoes. It sounded like they were crossing the hallway, then the living room, and finished on the kitchen. Immediately, I heard the water on the kitchen sink running and the sound of dishes being washed. It was odd because it was 1:15 a.m., but it could have been someone washing the baby bottles. I kept on listening. After 5 minutes, I heard my niece's playground being dragged from the hallway where it was kept to the living room. It does a very distinctive noise, and I'm 100% sure that was what I heard. The noise kept going for a good 10 minutes or so. I wrote my sister to find out if everything was fine, but got no response. After that, I kept hearing this footsteps. My dog was very nervous and barked at me when I tried to open the door to check out what was happening, so I stayed in the room. I checked the time. It was 1:43 a.m., and the sounds were still going until they suddenly stopped. I went to sleep, trying not to think about it. The next morning, my sister calls me on the phone and tells me to get out of my room. I did. I went to the hallway, and my mom's sister and her husband were there. My sister asked me if I had put my niece's stroller in front of her bedroom door, and if I had moved the playground station. I said no, and told them all about the noises. I thought they weren't going to believe me, but it turns out that when my sister came out of her bedroom in the morning, she found the stroller moved, she put it in the right place, and went to get the baby bottles and back to the room. After that, her husband got out to drink some water and found the stroller again in front of the door, moved it, and on his way back, asked my sister why she had put the stroller in front of the bedroom door. They noticed there was something very weird about the situation, saw my text from last night, and decided to call me. We started to freak out a bit, and I randomly grabbed the doll that was on the stroller. I noticed a strong smell emanating from it, like dry saliva. It was nauseating. It wasn't there the night before, and nobody had touched the thing. It was still in the gift bag. My sister's husband got scared about that fact and decided to throw away the doll. That night, everything was calmed again. It was a weird experience. When I was growing up, my house was always uncomfortable. There was something off about it, and I had a lot of unexplainable experiences living there. As time went on and I got older, I started to put away my toys, but one stayed until the almost end, a Vermont teddy bear my mom had given me when I was very small. These are expensive bears. The average price is around $60, with basic joints so the limbs and the head can swivel. I loved it more than any other toy, and so I can only explain what happened as my house turning it against me. At first, it was the feeling of being watched by it. However, I always had the feeling of being watched in that house, so I ignored it. Next came the distinct feeling it was in different positions when I came back. Not the other end of the room, but maybe its head was pointing a different way, or it was on the wrong side of my bed. Then one night I was laying in bed. The bear was laying next to me, flat on its back. I heard a noise in the hallway and sat up. When I turned around, the bear was sitting up next to me, with its head turned and its arms outstretched, like it was trying to grab me. I fell out of bed trying to get some distance between me and the bear. The next day, I packed up any toy with a face left in my room and put it in the crawl space. But being sentimental, I put the bear up on a shelf, firmly wedged between books and other keepsakes. It never moved again, but that didn't stop the house from finding new ways to make us unwelcome in our own home. My mother had a collection of dolls when she was a child, but had a very abusive stepfather who burned all but one. I have the one she salvaged. I called her Amy, and have always felt positive vibes from her. I guess my grandmother and aunts noticed how proudly I displayed Amy and started buying me expensive dolls from my own collection. One doll in particular gave me a very strange feeling of being watched. I had named her Catherine. She was taller than the other dolls, and I always swore that she had moved slightly every so often. Never enough to cause alarm, but enough to where I would realize something was off. She was on one end of my display, being the tallest, and Amy was at the other end since she did not have a doll stand and had to sit. One night I had a nightmare about Catherine trying to kill Amy. When I came home from school that afternoon, Catherine was turned facing Amy's direction, and Amy was slumped over instead of sitting up. Needless to say, Amy was moved off of the display and took up a new residence with my American Girl doll, the only doll I actually played with. Amy was a permanent fixture on the chaise lounge my neighbors had given me for the AG doll. After that, the weird feeling Catherine gave me went away. When I was a little kid, I used to sleep with a bed full of soft toys. I had my large bears and Noah, the awesome polar bear that has never left my side since I got him. I fell asleep after a few hours of being trapped in my room, but something woke me up after my mom had gone to bed. It was very early in the morning, 1 to 2 a.m., and I could hear something. I stayed very still and listened. Then I felt it. One of my soft toys climbed over me and slid off the side of the bed and onto the floor with a thud. I tried to catch it moving, but it was just standing next to my bed. It was a floppy toy bear, so it couldn't stand on its own. I grabbed it and asked it what it was doing. It didn't say anything or move. I dumped it back on the bed and fell back to sleep after a while. I made sure all the dolls and soft toys apart from Noah left my room after that. I've tried to rationalize it since then. I was still pretty young when it happened, under 10, but I remember it so clearly I was not dreaming. I know I wasn't. I had a rabbit, but it wasn't her. She slept in her hutch outside in the summer, and nothing had gotten into the house. She also didn't move like I had felt either. I don't know what else it could have been. This happened before I saw the black hooded thing standing next to my bed one morning, but after something had woken me up, scratching my leg in the night. Whatever that was bolted when it realized I was awake. It was small. I thought it was my dead guinea pig, that he was upset with me because he died, but now I'm not so sure.